Hi, I'm Amber Perkins, Director of Alumni Relations at the Krannert School, here today with Tom Sanger, who is the Director of Supply Chain Transformation at Intel Corporation. Welcome, Tom.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
We're very excited to have you. And so you are a two-time alum from Purdue University, right?
Yes.
That's
yes.
great. So Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering.
Yes.
And then a master's degree here from Krannert.
Yes.
And so I'd like to know just from the beginning, what brought you to Purdue for engineering?
So it's actually an interesting story. I always joke around that sometimes a lot of bad decision making turns out to be great. I ended up here because I didn't get in somewhere else. I was undergrad, or I shouldn't say undergrad, I was grade school, Catholic school, high school. I was going to Notre Dame. From Portland to Oregon to Notre Dame, that's the only place I was going. My father actually got his master's here. And when we went to visit the Golden Dome and Notre Dame, he suggested maybe we ought to drive a couple hours south and see Purdue. And I happened to be here on the day the engineering application was due, filled it out here, didn't get into Notre Dame, and ended up here. And frankly, couldn't have been a better dumb decision. It worked out so well. My father kept telling me that this was a better program, a better school for what I wanted to do, and met some of my best friends and had some great times here. Really enjoyed my time here.
That's great. So thank you to your father for
Yeah,
bringing you here
I know.
ultimately. So then
He's a smart guy.
supplemented that engineering degree with a business degree from
Yeah.
Krannert. What was that decision?
I really liked the classes that I took with engineering, loved them. Got a chance to be in the co-op program, so you got to go do an internship every other semester. I found that I didn't like the practice of civil engineering. It wasn't as creative as I wanted it to be. You can't build a bridge that could risk someone's life, so you have a safety factor, all those things, which for me limited. It was more cookbook than I wanted to do, and so I knew I wanted to do more creative stuff. I wanted to invent, so I went back to get my master's degree to see where I could move into. Fell in love with the operations and finance stuff, and I've kind of been in that track ever since.
Good. So then from Krannert, walk us through a little bit of how you kind of got to where you are today. You've held multiple roles with
Yeah.
Intel, and can you walk us through your career up until that point?
So I started in a rotation program, which was outstanding.
Yeah.
Intel's a very relationship-based company. It's who you know that really helps you succeed. And so being able to go into a rotational program, I did warehousing, got to wear the bunny suit and be inside a fabrication facility, did business planning, and then did sales and marketing and supported a large customer. And from there, started seeing some things I wanted to do, and I got pulled over to IT to kind of help go implement some of those things that I wanted to do to improve our customers' experience. And as you learn more and more about the company and the supply chain, more things you start seeing you want to fix. And so I got moved over into our manufacturing group for a little while to go fix some different items. And then went back to operations to go get a new education again, because every once in a while you gotta go back to the original ground blocks, and then came back to kind of that program management and supply chain transformation type of work, and kind of doing that today.
That's great. And so supply chain transformation, interesting
Yeah.
term. I'm really curious. What is supply chain transformation? What does that mean? And then more importantly, what does that mean to Intel?
So there's something that we talk about a lot at Intel, which is, your supply chain has to compete the same way your business does. So if your business is changing how it's going to compete, then the supply chain has to change with it. Intel has a very long, successful history of competing with selling a CPU and selling it into a traditional set of customers. We're moving into a digital age where we are really looking at inventing solutions now, not just providing the CPU for a computer or a box. Artificial intelligence, autonomous driving, these take solutions that are well beyond the processor itself. And so our supply chain is moving well beyond our traditional manufacturing into software services, outside components, and an integration layer that we've never had. And so to do that successfully, top to bottom, our supply chain has to be reinvented. From our bill of materials and how we construct our products, all the way to how we distribute, how we purchase, how we set up contracts. All of that has to be redesigned for this new business model that we're getting into.
That's really interesting. And so then when you think about the time you spent at Intel and also your time at Krannert, how would you say that Krannert had prepared you for some of those roles?
You'll hear in the talk I'm giving later, my favorite tool that I got out of Krannert was Porter's 5 Forces.
Okay.
Favorite tool. When you look at what we're doing, when you're reinventing any new idea that you need to land, whether it's a external market you're trying to put something into or an internal company, you have to kind of figure out how to introduce that idea into the environment and how do you assess the degree of competitive environment you're selling this idea into. And that has been the single thing that has stood out for me in my Krannert background was that whole marketing concept of strategically breaking down the environment, how to go identify where people are open to ideas and selling ideas, has been outstanding. I'm always very, very thankful for the time I got to spend at Krannert. It's worked out really well.
Yeah.
Just the financial actions and all the rest of it, it's been great.
Good.
Yeah.
So as you mentioned, you are here to speak to our students today, and we're so thankful that you've taken the time. Can you talk a little bit about what you plan to share with the students?
So I'm going to start off by talking a little bit about what changes Intel is going through right now. The context of how you even get to a supply chain transformation job title is meaningful. But I've had very few jobs that I've had to interview for in my career at Intel. I've gotten a chance to create my own job over and over again. And I want to talk a little bit about what I've learned in the process of doing that. Some of the biggest failure points that I've had in my career are actually the reasons why I now have an opportunity to do something like this. I'm incredibly lucky. I will be the first day. It's shocking to me. I have an opportunity to take a $63 billion company's supply chain and re-engineer it to try to go after $260 billion market. It's amazing that I've got that opportunity to do it, and I just kind of want to talk because it wasn't necessarily a smooth road to that opportunity. And it was a lot of the failure points and setbacks that actually enable you to kind of get that opportunity to do something bigger later.
Yeah, well, I think that is so important for our students to hear that sometimes those failures can actually turn into greater and bigger opportunities.
Yes.
So we thank you for sharing that story, and we thank you for being here. So, Tom, we appreciate your time, and welcome back to Krannert.
All right, excellent. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Appreciate it.